Welcome back to another episode on the Landscaping Podcast, powered by Landscaping Unlimited. As always, we are your hosts, Zach and Shay, here to talk to you about how you can go from being a laborer to a leader. In the landscaping industry, it is a unique industry in that if you go to a manufacturing plant, an assembly line, if you go to most other jobs, there's a very clear-cut path of progression after a certain amount of time or a certain achievement of certifications that you're going to rise the ranks. When you join a landscaping company or a hardscaping company, most companies in the green industry, to kind of capture both, there's this view that you join to be a worker or you join to be a manager, but whatever it is you join as, you stay at that thing and there's nowhere else for you to go. And that's not the case. No. And I don't think there's enough awareness around this. So we're going to do a podcast where we kind of hit it head on. And so in this episode, you're going to see how someone in, let's say, Landscaping Limited could go from laborer, where they join at the bottom level of just entry level. Maybe they got some mowing skills, some weeding skills, maybe a little bit of hardscape skills, how they could go from there to rise the ranks in this company. But this could be taken and applied to almost any other version of any other company in the green industry, because the overlap of what it takes to be noticed, to be seen, and to be invested in by that company are very similar, if not the exact same. So with that, Shay, you have been running this business. How long have you been running this business?
Oh, so I've been running it since like 2000 and it's like 15-ish, 16-ish.
So about a decade.
Yeah.
All right, so roughly 10 years, you have been the man with the crown, and you've had to help build this empire of yours with others that you have found to play their roles in this company. Myself, I'm one example where someone came in entry level and they worked their way to a certain position to where now I've got the digital division. There are others I have watched rise these ranks. There are some who have come in and they've hit their point and they've wanted to stay there and they're very comfortable with where they're at. How would a generic person, let's say coming in with a little bit of landscape, a little bit of hardscape experience, how have you seen them find the most success in this company? And for future employees that are going to be listening to this, to set themselves up for success, what are the things they need to do to come in, hit the ground running, and just find that sort of investment of your time to help them rise the ranks?
Yeah, so it's important that I first address that we literally scripted this about 20 seconds ago, so there's no script. And that I'm going to give you the rawest answer that I can give you, as unprepared as I am to any of these questions. But I think that the answer to that is your attitude. You know, if you've got a positive attitude, then you can go very far because you look at everything that the company has positively. And so therefore, from laborer to leader, you're going to have a positive mindset all the way through, and you're going to see the opportunities as they present themselves instead of always being doom and gloom of, well, I'll never be able to be here, because you've just limited yourself with your attitude. But if you have a positive attitude, then you're going to see all those opportunities. You're going to see those doors open, and you're going to have the conversations and say, hey, I seen that the project manager, had went and found another job. How do I get to that position? Or you're gonna see all these opportunities come of, well, we're having an influx of work and our backlog is being a lot longer, so we need to increase project managers. How can I go from where I'm at to that project manager? Well, a lot of that's attitude and conversation. Have a conversation with your superior above you and say, hey, I think we can fix this if we do X, Y, and Z, and I think I'm the man for that job. And so you kind of have those conversations.
I think when you look at that part, communication is such a huge part of that. I will say, and I've said this in the past, I'll say it again, I asked a ton of questions, like a large amount of questions. Caught myself. So when I came on here, I didn't know things. And so for anybody that's coming on and you got, I knew how to ride a zero turn. I knew what a weed whacker was. I knew power tool, I knew how to do a lot of things. I had no clue how to do it in a professional setting. I had no clue how to do it at the level that we do it. But I knew enough to where I could operate safely. The things I didn't know, I asked.
Yep.
Why do you line it up this way? We were building the man cave. I'd never done carpentry work.
Yeah.
That's not my background. Dude, I asked you a million questions. And then a lot of the times when we were just working, I would just shut my mouth because I couldn't add to the silence. I couldn't make it any better. And I would just observe. And so I would just watch how you would do certain things or how the other guys more experienced than me would do things that I didn't have to ask. And so sometimes it's not ask every single question. Sometimes it's be quiet. Stop talking, stop letting anything else distract you, and just watch what they're doing. Earlier, you were doing some of the pavers about how you were laying them in. Didn't ask the question, I just saw it and did the same thing. So if you're coming on and you're looking to learn, pay attention and learn. Stop thinking that you know everything and just watch. See how it's done at that business. And then when you hit a point you don't know, hey, Shay, why are the guys mowing that way and not this way? Because I understand how to mow, but I don't understand why they're doing this. It makes no sense. And then it's explained to you, and you can either say, well, have you ever thought about doing it that way? And so then therefore your supervisor is going to say, oh, you're thinking, that's awesome. Or two, that's a rookie question. We don't do it that way because this, you wouldn't know that because you've never done it, but here's why. And then you learn something. So communication, I think, really opens the door from there forward.
Yep. So two things. One, there's no such thing as a stupid or dumb question unless it's, is this crayon red? And it says red on it, then that would be a stupid question. However, if you don't know something, then asking a question to obtain the knowledge to now know it is not a stupid question. And genuinely, I will answer them all. I might answer some with sarcasm, but however, most of the time, if you don't know it, then I already know you don't know it. And that's why you're asking me the question. So I'll tell you what I know. And if I don't know the answer to it, I will go figure out the answer to it because now I want to know. So that's number one. Number two would also be, laborer to leader. There is no cap of can this laborer be a leader or is that an option? Yes, I think all laborers' positions are geared to be leaders. And I say that because a business should grow 10% a year, give or take a few depending on the size and your region and stuff like that. But you should be growing every year annually. I think that everyone can agree upon that. So if you're growing every year, then that means that every laborer that you have should be able to become a leader at some point because you're continuing to grow. And we talk about building within, and so we want to have the people that we have started here to continue to climb the ranks. And so if you're constantly hiring outside of your company to come in as leadership positions, well then yeah, your laborers can't become leaders because you're filling the positions before they're able to get there. And yes, sometimes you're going to have to do that. Mm-hmm. So not to paint this as this perfect picture of if you come in as a laborer, you're going to be a leader, because that's not the case. If you come in as a laborer and you possess the ability to lead and you do lead, then you will become a leader because that is the ability and you have that skill and you're able to do that. And so everyone that comes on board with us has the ability to grow in the company. Everyone that came on as maybe they started as the weed eating guy, fresh out of high school, that doesn't mean they're going to always be the weed eating guy. They certainly can become the leader or the project manager, and they can do it at the rate that they set themselves up for themselves. If they set themselves up for success and they show up on time and they have a good attitude and they do the work, they ask the questions, they grow and learn, as the business is growing and learning, then they can progress within the company as fast as they want. And then once you get to the project management side of things, we talk about pay or something like that, their salary can increase as fast as they're able to sell the jobs and get the jobs done, so that the more money comes in means the more money we can spend out. However, if you're not doing all of that, well, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because now you've just capped. I can't make any more because I'm spending more money. I can't progress to the leader because I'm only accepting that I'm the laborer. And so any laborer can be a leader if you possess the ability to lead.
One of the things I've seen it in every industry I've ever been a part of. There are extremely talented laborers who will never be leaders.
Yeah.
And some of them, they're resentful at it. And then the other ones don't understand why they aren't the ones chosen. And then other ones are very happy.
Yeah.
And so there's this category, the ones that are happy, that's the easiest to explain. They're like, I am very good at this, and I don't want to be in charge of you. I want to be in charge of this. I'm good at, let's say, landscaping. I'm good at taking care of lawns. I don't want to run crews. I want you to send me to go take care of a lawn. I love doing that.
Yep.
The ones who get frustrated when somebody else will surpass them, they're the ones who are good at what they do, but they're so focused on their skill set and being good at what they do that they're not looking at what they aren't doing. And so they're completely oblivious to a weakness, and it's almost a challenge to them to point that out. So it's like, hey, I want you to run this crew and take care of these guys. And they go to do that, and they just take all the stuff and they do it themselves. And it's like, you're not running the crew, you're not teaching the guys, you are doing all the work, and so therefore I've got all these guys not. And so it's, again, you're missing that part of it. Yes, you're good at what you do, but you're not leading. And that's you said those who can lead then go and lead. like that and lead.
Yep.
It misses a lot of subject matter experts. There's a few guys I'm thinking about in the Navy who they were so good at what they did, but they couldn't communicate. They could not talk to like me. They would like ignore me, and I'm like, bro, I'm hungry for information, but they wouldn't feed me because they're like, I'm just gonna do it my way and blah blah blah. I'm in my own little world, and I'm like, dude, it cost them growth because they couldn't work with a team. They were just like individuals, and so, and then the other guy who is a subject matter expert and they're not growing. It's like they've never once had the conversation. Hey, how can I take my skill sets and better apply it to the team? It's like people who are like, I don't get paid enough. Have you ever talked to your boss about a pay raise? No. Why?
Yeah.
You're building this whole anger inside your head for what? Like, what are you achieving?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And so it's like, if you're looking to grow in something and you think that you're deserving, have the conversation as to why you're not getting it. You know, then there's the other part of it, which when you're looking at leadership and how to go from laborer to leader, is we spoke about the core values in 2 episodes ago. And in that, we listed our 5 core values of Landscaping Unlimited. And it's like, if you want to lead, you become more of a face. You're out there more, so the team leader will be the one talking to the homeowner, while the guys who are working, they'll be crushing, doing their thing, like taking care of the property. The team leader will often be the one going out, or the project manager, going out and having these conversations to set schedules and set maintenance dates and all these things. That person has to be reliable. That person has to have all the values that the company has. That person has to be able to speak on behalf of you, the head of the company. They've got to be able to be your mouth. And so what they say, you have to own.
Yep.
And so you've got to have that level of trust in them. And so again, it goes back to, if you don't have those things checked, well, then you can't be the person talking to the customer. You can't go to that position because something there isn't aligned. And the most basic of things is just reliability.
Yep.
There are so many people who are really good at what they do, but they're unreliable. And so it's like, well, sorry, dude.
Yep.
The pressure increases the higher up you go. Like the weight of that's on you, and we spoke about this in an episode, it's not anxious, it's not like an anxiety pressure, but like, bro, the expectations in my head is huge, and I love it. It's like fuel for me, it motivates me. You spoke about how it does the same for you. I'm excited for it. And leaders have to want that. Like the pressure can't make it be less reliable, less dependable. It should like motivate you to want to do more. And I think you have to show you can handle that level of pressure before you're given that title. Because if you haven't shown that you can run the team, why the heck would you be selected to run the team?
Yep.
You basically have to show the skills before you get the talent or the title.
Yep. And so another thing is the title is words. It does not define the person. It is literally just words. You know, I personally, I had the title of leader long before I was a leader. And I say that humbly because here recently, you know, I've had some people talk about how I was a good leader to them. And I can think of all the ways I failed them because I didn't do things as professional as I should have at that time. I didn't lead them as far as I could have led them. Yeah, I may have led them well, however, I did not lead them as well as I should. And so, you know, I had the title, but I don't think I was still the leader that I should have been at that point, which brings us to now where I'm able to realize that, you know, to lead people is to see all of their strengths and all of their weaknesses, as well as seeing all of your strengths and weaknesses, so that you can intertwine all those together and find out which way works the best so that you can achieve the most for not just you, but for them as well. So I had the title of leader well before I was a leader. And I think it's important to emphasize that, because if I wasn't a leader, then I was running this thing by myself. And so I was only able to achieve what I could do myself. And so when you become a leader, you're able to lead men. You're able to lead a team. You're able to lead a group of bodies to achieve more. And so you can achieve more. You can grow. Your company can grow. Your crews can grow because they're full of leaders. And so me self-reflecting back, you know, at a time where I held the title of leader, but I wasn't a leader, I struggled, even though I was the man, because I could only do what I could do. When I became a leader, I realized I don't have to struggle as hard because I have all these guys around me that I have led with me to achieve greatness. And then some of them become leaders and they become important parts of this company and the infrastructure within it. And so that we're all growing and we're all becoming better men and better leaders, and we're continuing to be better leaders every day. I mean, I learn every day. Particularly, I learned from some young men we've got on the job site today that are 16, 17 years old, and I learn from them because I've never led a 16 or 17-year-old at the age I'm at now. So I look at it differently, and it's a new way of leading for me.
No, I'm glad you brought the younger guys up. So my son's 16. He's one of the men that we're talking about. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told him, what I've told myself. And a little background, every single place that I have been in, I have kicked ass at. And that is to toot my own horn. I work extremely hard. Yeah, the train's rolling, baby. But I work extremely hard. Wherever you put me, I want to give everything to it and find a role, find a place I can bring the value and just maximum value. But to tell you what I have told Coda and what I have lived here on this business that has served me well within this company, it's the basics. Just get the basics right. I'm always early. I do not show up to work late. I don't think I have ever no-called, no-showed, and I probably missed work like a handful of times, usually like when I'm wrecked. Like there are times I've come in jacked up, but like when you are like messed up, Shay, dude, it's not happening today. I'm not well, and that's total time working here, 2 years plus. In that amount of time, I've been dependable, shown up early. I wear the proper uniform where if you were to see me, outside of creeks, if you were to see me on jobs, normal jobs, I look like a squared away dude. My pants are up, I got the proper boots on, I'm bearded, I've got hair. I try to maintain this long hair. I put the hat on because right now it's at a crazy phase. I don't want us to look like I'm sloppy. I want to wear clothes that make me look professional. When I speak to people, I am polite. I don't swear in front of them. I don't smoke in front of them. I do these things. I was teaching my son, on time is 15 minutes early. I show up to work every day around 6:50. We are rolling by 7. I need to be there at the very possible latest by 6:55 so I can get 5 minutes of see the guys, get the feedback, the plan of the day, go out and roll. Whenever we have rain days, and the option's like, hey, you can stay or you can go because the rain destroyed the plans. I never took those days. I was like, all right, cool, man. Can I go with you and learn how you do the billing, how you work with the customers, what our software looks like, clean the bay, do you want to go to the shop and clean the shop? Like, I always ask for more to do instead of trying to leave because I wasn't in a rush to get away from my job because I want to be good at this and learn. And I realized all the way back to 19-year-old me in the Navy, when everybody else would go to bed, I would stay up and study. That's how I would gain an edge because there was no time during the day. And so like, all right, well, here's your sleep time that was also very limited. I was like, well, I'm going to use this time to do more. And so when it would rain, that's when I started learning Shay's side of the business. So it's beyond, above the hardscape and landscape, it was like, how do you make all this work? And I started to learn about that. And then I said, hey man, I can take photos. And so I just started bringing my camera. There wasn't really much of an ask and a permission given. It was like, hey, look what I did. And like after that, it's like, all right, cool. Like it does work here. And so there is a benefit to this. And so that's before all that you're seeing now. I did those things just to do them. There was no title, there was no digital vision, there was no podcast or social media. There was none of this. I was just doing it because I'm like, this is value I can add. So I'm here on time. I basically made myself unavoidable. This is what I want for my son. It's what I want for Landon. It's what I want for all of our workers. Make it so that nobody can argue against you being the guy for when a position opens up. Like when you're like, all right, we need this role filled. You've left zero room for them to say it's not clearly him. That dude shows up first, he leaves last, he volunteers for more, he gets the job done right, he admits any mistakes that he makes, he's good to our clients, he's good to our coworkers, he leads others, he takes time to communicate and explain things to them. He can be the filter, so where he can talk to the guys and then relay the information to the boss. These things, all these things together, that was before I had even like assistant hardscape leader, whatever I was like when I was first here, before I was doing what I'm doing right now. This was literally, Zach is just here doing these things, and I want that for, like I said, all of our employees. But these are the literal lessons I've explained to my son and how you go from laborer to leader. Is you're a leader on the deck plates, and you just work so hard, and you're so consistent and reliable that people see this person thinks and lives the way I do. He has the same core values. He wants this to grow. He treats the business like it's his. That mindset, dude, is when you have owners working like employees and employees thinking like owners, you find the greatest success because everybody wants the bigger picture, the company to win. Because when the company wins, all of us win. Everybody inside grows. And so I think that mindset is how you go from laborer to leader. You literally go in there and just give it your all and be the best that you can possibly be, learning along the way on how to be better.